I think if you have 4 indictments and all 4 of them look a little sketchy to at least half of the country, that it's hard to imagine that this is anything but political. And if you look at all the, the surrounding things that have led up to it, from everything from Russia collusion to the laptop hoax to the Fine People hoax, you see a pattern of really targeting one person in a huge coordinated way. And I've said that one of the differences between the Democrats and the Republicans, this is just observational, is that both sides have a lot of BS. There's a lot of stuff that's not true that people believe. But generally on the Republican side, it seems to bubble up from individuals. So there'll be somebody who has a claim and other people latch onto it. And then maybe someday somebody in leadership will say that claim, and then it becomes a thing. But on the Democrat side, it appears that they do organized, multi-organizational ops. The laptop was Russian disinformation. That involved a number of entities. That wasn't a few individuals. There were people in leadership who coordinated across the government, the intel agencies, and the media. And to me, that looks like a RICO case. The American law that would treat a criminal enterprise as operating in some kind of coordinated, ongoing criminal fashion. So that looks really different. And that's what it appears to be from a voter's perspective who's watching the whole field.
And Scott, one of the questions I'm always curious to disentangle is, when you say it looks political, are you saying that Donald Trump is innocent of all the things of which he's being accused, or not guilty at least? Or are you saying that his behavior is akin to Hillary Clinton's server, let's say, or Joe Biden's documents, or various other things that are not prosecuted, yet on Donald Trump's case, they will go after every single little thing every time he put a foot wrong? So is it that he's not guilty, or is it that the prosecution is actually persecution, I guess is what I'm asking.
Well, I think you get lost in the details if you start comparing, the Hillary situation to, Trump or any other. I think it's a valid observation that they're not being treated the same. But I think you could take it up a level and say it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if he did those things. It doesn't matter how bad they were, because the reason they're going after doesn't seem to be related to what he did. And you can make that judgment based on how other people are treated in other situations. But if you look at as I said, the entirety of it, it appears that there are ongoing organized ops to get rid of one person for reasons that are not entirely clear, but it must be probably self-preservation or profit or something. But it doesn't look like we're involved in anything that classically would look like a democratic process. It looks like people in power running operations, almost like it was an intelligence-based entity running the whole thing. I don't know that that's the case. It just looks like it is. And I just don't think the details matter. But the one that really puts it in focus the best is the January 6th stuff. If you had never heard any hoaxes being perpetrated against Trump, you might say, oh, that sounds reasonable that he was trying to overthrow the country or something. But as soon as you start asking any questions about that, such as, all right, connect the dots. Let's say Trump was trying to overthrow the country and he got some people to say that they were the fake electors, but they were the real ones. Let's say they were claiming they were real ones. How would that go? Would everybody else in the country just say, well, you got us. We didn't see you doing this fake elector thing. Let's just go on. You're the president now. Of course not. It would go to the Supreme Court, like everything, and then we'd probably get some kind of result we could live with. Or let's say that the protests continued. What was going to happen? Were the people who didn't have weapons, who were trespassing in one building, was that enough to conquer the country? Give me some details about how trespassing turns into control of the nuclear triad. And the fact that half of the public believes that that was an insurrection, or could have been one, or that under any circumstance that could have turned into something that would have changed the leadership of the country by itself. There's no reasonable way that could have happened. but yet half the country has been convinced that it did. Half the country believes the fine people hoax. Half the country believes that the president suggested drinking a disinfectant. None of those things happened. The laptop, we know, was not Russian disinformation, etc. So the January 6th slash insurrection, quote unquote, was just an op. Not the event, but the way it was treated and the way they impeached him was just an op to make something that was a legitimate protest, meaning people had legitimate complaints. I don't know about the reality of it, but they had legitimate complaints and they acted out, and some got out of control and some were violent. But when you see how thoroughly half of the country has been brainwashed into thinking that was something you would call a coup or an insurrection, when it seems far more obvious that the way Trump has been treated in, before the first election and all the way through, seems like more of an insurrection or ongoing coup attempt against somebody who was elected legally once. And his claim is that maybe he got elected twice, but I'll leave that to his claim.